everybody. It's David and Nikki Nellis. Welcome to Foodie The Beast.
We have such a delicious show for you today. Derek Brown, you know him from The Passenger. He's in studio talking all about the Ricky, and Fiorella's in, and they've brought lots of pizza.
And how hard is it to open a restaurant in D.C.? You're going to find out because we have the folks in from Salt and Pepper on MacArthur Boulevard and from Freddy's Lobster Shack in Bethesda.
That's Foodie and the Beast. Stay tuned.
Planet Wine. It's like having your own wine cellar right in the heart of Del Rey. More than 700 bottles of domestic and imported wines offer something for every occasion and budget. For fine wines and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. Hey everybody, we're back on Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis. Guys, we have a couple of minutes left. We've got Pierluigi Capello, who's the general manager of Fiorella, and Stephanie O'Mary. Guys, let's make sure everybody knows where the restaurant is. I know it's at National Harbor, but where exactly and where to find you on the web?
Well, if you get to National Harbor, you basically just have to look down the stairs from Rosa Mexicano, which is also there, and you will find us. And our website is
www.fiorellapizzeria.com. Fiorella Pizzeria. And if you can't spell pizzeria, you don't deserve to eat there.com. Guys,
thank you so much. Thank you for all this delicious food.
And if you think you're getting out of here alive with this pizza, you can forget it. Not going to happen.
All right, and now we have Derek Brown in with us.
Hello.
You made it, Derek.
Derek Brown made it in.
You.
All right, so Derek, for those of you who don't know, and I find that hard to believe, he is sort of the bar chef extraordinaire.
No, he's the master mixologist.
Bartender, master mixologist.
I don't mind the term bartender, truthfully.
Okay, so he's taking bartender.
Hey, beer tender.
Okay.
Beer tender will
Over
do.
at the Passenger and the Columbia Room, and he consults all around the city, but he was a part of a big deal this week.
That's right. And the thing is, the Gin Ricky is such a simple drink. I want to know how it caught your attention and why you took up the cause.
Well, sometimes I tell people that the first time that I drank it, it was actually a horrible drink. And what I mean by that is that I had tried it with a run-of-the-mill gin. I had tried it with just lime juice. And I tried it with soda water from a gun, which you find on the bar. And all of that sort of led me to believe this is a really singular drink. It just tastes like lime, truthfully. It's nothing special. But rather than leave it there, I thought I'd explore it. So I went searching for how to make a Ricky. And that led me through sort of the annals of history, so to say. I mean, I really went back and tried to research all of these articles, old cocktail books, and then I found it was a much more complex drink than I thought. Now, I say complex in flavor because it is simple to make. I realized you take the lime as a whole, you cut it in half, squeeze it into the drink, and include the zest in it too. I know that you all know from cooking that the zest is where the flavor comes from, right? So the juice is part of it.
No, he doesn't know, but I know.
My zest comes from Nikki. Thank you very much.
He's just trying to make up for earlier. Go ahead.
And so then to that, I added larger ice cubes, and I realized it helps it from getting diluted too quickly. They actually said 2 pieces of a lump ice were used in the original recipe. Then I used sparkling mineral water instead of the gun soda, and I used a good gin like Plymouth.
Well, what's the difference between, like, what is it about gun soda that you don't like?
Well, the bubbles generally dissipate pretty quickly. And also it doesn't have a lot of mineral content. Now that's great for some drinks, but in other drinks it doesn't really add anything to it. So it sort of adds like a nice texture but no flavor.
This is so scientific. You know, when she said
scientific.
Derek's coming in to talk about the Ricky, the first thing I said was, "Oh, Lucy." I thought you meant
It's not even
Ricky.
funny.
Yes, it
not
is.
even funny at all.
Oh,
Doesn't even deserve a smile. Come on, Andy.
The string of jokes that you can have off of the Ricky are great. You know, the Ricky from Ricardo. You can have the Oh Ricky, you're so fine, and it goes on and on. And believe me, people who have done alternate takes on the Ricky have named it such.
Okay, so now there are 2 different kinds of Rickies. I mean, how many kinds of Rickies are there? The original is the gin.
Right. So the original was actually technically made with bourbon.
Oh, okay.
And then about a decade later, that was in the 1880s, about a decade later in the 1890s, it actually was made with gin. And that became the most popular version of it. And I think you'll see why today. The gin version is kind of like the gin and tonic's livelier American cousin. Right? It doesn't have that bite from the tonic, but it also doesn't have the sweetness that goes along with the tonic. So it's a very tart drink, and which is wonderful for DC's hot summer. As you know, today and many days this summer, it's going to be muggy, hot, humid. And so having...
Except for the one over here who has a cold.
Well, we'll make you Ricky soon.
Thank you, Ricky. I'll feel a thing. Why, Stephanie, you're red.
But it became a whole category of drink. So now technically you could have aquavit or bourbon or rye and say, oh, that's a Ricky. As long as you squeeze a lime into it and add sparkling mineral water or soda water, then it's technically a Ricky.
And what makes it indigenous to D.C.?
So it was invented in 1880s at a place called Shoemaker's. Now, this was the most beloved bar in Washington, D.C.
It was more like a storeroom than a bar, wasn't it?
Exactly. In fact, it was
Can
a
you
little
tell
bit
David
of a
did his
dive.
reading?
Yeah.
He read what it was
No,
about?
I knew about Shoemakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I happen to know a little something.
Okay.
It was there in the 1880s.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Andy. But I'm bummed.
What the
Okay.
hell? You haven't spoken in weeks. Shut up. Anyways.
Yeah, you're completely right. Its nickname was Cobweb Hall. But it was a place where the most powerful people in Washington, D.C. went. In fact, every president from 1858 to 1917, when Prohibition hit D.C., which was earlier than the rest of the country, actually went to Shoemaker's, except for Rutherford B. Hayes. He was a teetotaler. He didn't drink.
All right, well, we're
All
going to
right.
put you to work making some Rickies. We're going to get Jeff Heineman in here. Jeff, you ready to talk? Dun,
Sure.
da-da.
Okay.
And, well, when we get back, we're going to tell you about some stuff that Derek pulled off that is amazing, because it's hard to get the city council together.
To do anything.
Well, not to do anything. That's terrible to say. But to get them to agree on something, and they certainly agreed on the Ricky.
It was unanimous.
All right, we'll
That's
tell you about
awesome.
that. We'll tease that. Jeff, come on over to the mic.
You can leave that over there. We'll do that at the
All
second
right, so we
part.
told you Jeff is the chef owner of Grapeseed. It's been really a landmark in Bethesda on Cordell Avenue for 10 years. Great stuff. One of the greatest. I don't even know how to describe the mushroom dish that I love.
Yeah, we love that
The
dish.
mushroom and polenta was the greatest thing in the world. But he decided to open a lobster shack next door. So why? I guess is the question.
Kind of just a latent love for the whole New England lobster shack and clam shack, and probably a love for fried clams mostly. And then
So it was selfish.
yeah, sure.
But you're not from the area originally, are you?
No, I'm from upstate New York originally, and then we took some vacations out there. The first one I remember being a real little kid was digging clams with my grandfather, also known as Fred. So,
Right.
Therefore,
Freddy's.
Ergo Freddy's.
Yeah. And there was just I remember digging the clams and not cooking them and not caring for them at all, but that's not the important part here.
Do you want to stick on that part of the story? Or you want to move on?
Yeah,
Let's
just move on. They taste right now, so.
But you've been doing sort of this upscale, casual kind of restaurant.
Yes.
For over 10 years, which is, a real feat in the
you.
restaurant world. So when you decided to come up with this concept, did you see it as a trend that was happening? Or was it just something personal you wanted to do?
This was personal. I've been wanting to do this lobster thing for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And I just didn't have the wherewithal to pull it off, and the space came available, most recently, and I finally got to do it. I've been kicking around options for a second thing for a while, and but this lobster thing kept coming back.
Yeah, but lobster's getting, all of a sudden, you got lobster trucks, and you got,
It is
we
a
just
popular trend.
literally, we were just in Cape Cod.
We were.
Lobsters everywhere. 2 questions. Is the world going to run out of lobsters, thanks to Red Lobster and places like that? But beyond that, are you opening yourself up to being assailed by purists who say, well, this is not, what we get in Baston and the Cape?
No, we're to the first question. I don't think we're running out of lobsters anytime soon. The United States lobster industry is well regulated. They can't take lobsters under a pound, so all those go back in the water so they can have a chance to breed before they get harvested and stuff. The second thing is we try to do traditional New England things. I'm not doing any twists on anything. The lobster roll is mayonnaise in big chunks, and the other one is hot and butter, and that's about it.
Yes, I think we should know that for a fact.
He's working on
They're right
it.
behind me.
He's right behind you. Yay, Derek.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Derek. Thank you.
Thank you. So now,
Special thanks to my lovely server, Derek.
yes. So now, do you feel that some people, I've never seen it shredded. Like, do they shred it?
There's certain places that do it. I think you get more. Maybe they're buying lesser meat. Frozen meat tastes watery, and I think if you shred it, maybe you can sort of squeeze it out that way.
All right, here, I'm going to jump in before we take the break, because you don't want Nikki's review on this. You want mine, because this is in my world.
I don't do reviews.
This is great. for two reasons. One, it's fresh as can be, and there's actually a lot of lobster in it. You know, you get a lot of lobster rolls that are more mayo than anything else. This is awesome.
We do 4 ounces per. We weigh each one out. 4 ounces per roll. You got little half rolls.
Well, I hate portion control, but okay.
But it does go really well with my little lime Ricky here.
And since a 1 pound lobster only gives you 3.5 ounces, you're talking. We use £1.25 lobsters, so you're talking almost a whole lobster in every roll.
Wow. All right.
Some smaller ones.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we cut back, we're going to be talking more Rickies. We're going to be eating more lobster, and then we have the crew from Salt and Pepper here, and we're going to talk about what it's like to really open up a restaurant in the D.C. metro area. We'll be back in just a sec.
The phrase neighborhood restaurant means convenience, but not necessarily style or good taste. But in DC's West End, Circle Bistro, Notte Bianche, and Dish Plus Drinks take neighborhood dining to new levels. Circle Bistro offers contemporary French-inspired cuisine. Dish has new twists on American classics. And Notte Bianche is the perfect Italian trattoria. The Kennedy Center is just steps away, so pre- and post-theater dining is enjoyable and convenient. Dish, Notte Bianche, and Circle Bistro. There's good taste in the neighborhood. Hi, everybody. We're back on Foodie the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis.
Hi. All right. So, Jeff, we are going to bring in our next guest, and then we want to talk with you a little bit about what it's like to open up a restaurant in the D.C. metro area. I mean, you're in Maryland. Our next guests are in D.C., but I think it's really important to sort of talk about. We've had, R.J. Cooper was just in, and so was Mike Isabella of Graffiato. And, it's just like the pitfalls. Everybody thinks they can open up a restaurant. It's so easy
Well, everybody
to do.
fantasizes about it, and all you see is the thing walking around.
Fantasize about it, but,
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Fantasize about it. Working the room in my Speedo.
Okay, good for you.
Okay, I got Nate and Lindsay Ochner next to me, and they just opened Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper. I want to break in, do a little hip hop song.
Exactly.
I love it.
And you're in the location where Kemble Park Tavern was, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right, so let's step back a little. Where do you guys come from? What's your deal, and why a restaurant?
We're from Washington. I'm from Washington, D.C.
Oh, you guys must be newly married. You're being so nice to each other.
Lindsay and I actually met in culinary school at CIA, and so
my first day, he was my RA.
Preying on the freshmen.
So
I went after him.
Really?
Yeah.
So I convinced her to move to Washington, D.C. because I love it here, and we've lived in the same neighborhood in the Palisades since we've been here, and that space across the street just kept calling our names, and eventually when the opportunity came up, we jumped on it.
But let's talk about where you both have been cooking prior to here.
So when we moved down here, we both worked at Black Salt with Jeff and Barbara Black, and then Nate went over to Equinox, and I went and opened The Source by Wolfgang Puck, and then Nate had such a great time because Todd's just amazing that I had to jump on over and work at Equinox, and Nate had left and went on to Restaurant Associates. And
do you think Nate's running away from you?
I don't know. I think after a few months at working next to the line, next to each other at Jeff Black, he might have.
You're playing. You bet your marriage, and
and then most recently, Nate was with RA at the corporate executive board, and I was the executive sous at the Canadian Embassy. It's pretty much Ambassador Dewar's personal chef.
But you two, as a couple, decided you really wanted to open up a restaurant.
Sure, it's been the dream since we.
It was independent dreams that kind of came together. So.
And did you both have a concept in mind, or did the space determine what you went with?
We had a concept in mind, and we had a new another space. Originally, we had already started paying rent on another space. But
Do we know where?
It was the same neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It just required an entire build out, and that concept was way more casual. And when this space came up, we said, well, the space more fits a little bit more of an upscale vibe, so we went with that. We just altered the concept slightly.
Okay, and so Salt and Pepper, the name, why?
It's the essentials. You can't cook without having salt and pepper. So we like to feel like people can't live without our food, or it's just a necessary kind of basic type of food. It's the American food that you feel you come in and it brings you back to your childhood, your roots, your essentials.
Well, let me just ask
what
question.
kind of things does that mean?
Well, because you guys, your background is cooking, it's finer dining, and here to get a neighborhood place that will really become cherished by the neighborhood and frequented, you have to have a different kind of mix. So how does that How do the two things mesh with your abilities and your artistic preferences?
We take basic comfort food and we sort of elevate it slightly and put our twists on it. So like today, for example, we brought you a bucket of chicken. So
which looks delicious, I must say.
I think we better try it right now.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna have that, you have to have the wine pairing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see.
So is that what you wanted? You wanted to do really accessible food?
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody knows what a meatloaf is, but they haven't tasted. In everything we do, we want to underpromise and overdeliver.
Okay,
so,
I like that.
You might. Everybody knows what everything is on the menu, but you just.
She doesn't need any help. She runs a restaurant.
What am I eating? Wait, stop, Nate. You got to stop. This is delicious.
Thank
what
you.
is it?
It's actually Lindsay's
That's
recipe.
chicken skin.
We do a buttermilk brine, and then it's just floured and fried. The fryer was a little hot this morning, but
wow.
And nothing goes better with fried chicken than rosé, but I always like to pair a sparkling rosé with fried chicken.
You were totally speaking my language.
Talking Nikki's.
I love rosé.
I'm a bubblehead, so and
oh, I like that. I'm
Yes.
gonna go by that term now.
Yes, and
I've been calling you that for years.
But I don't listen to you.
So rosé and this really nice Shea Brut rosé sparkling from Sonoma just kind of complements that fried chicken. Little bubbles cut through the fat.
Does the neighborhood come in? Do they come in and say, "Hey, your predecessor was"?
Yeah, well, like Jeff was saying, if we had like a tally board for everybody that comes in and says, I live in the neighborhood and we really want you to do well. We're like, yeah, we do too.
And then they're like, yeah, we would like you to do X.
Yeah. Here's our comments, but you embrace that. Everybody, we want to be the cornerstone. So we welcome those comments. We welcome the criticisms. We're growing. It's a process. We've only been open for a month.
Right.
Let me jump in and take you back to the starting a restaurant.
Sure.
Because you're all restaurant, and Jeff, Crepe Seed was your first
Yes, sir.
Restaurant. All right, so Jeff's just opened his second. You opened your first. There have to be all kinds of unseen, even for you guys, pitfalls and challenges that you encounter in the process. I guess let me start with you guys first. You say, okay, Kemble Park Tavern's open, and we're going to go in there and we're going to open a restaurant. What happened? Was it a smooth...
We really pushed hard to change the space over to our concept, and we were able to get it done in about 3 months. But
which I have to say is amazing, because when I saw you guys, when did I see you? I saw you in...
At Taste the Nation for a Share Strength.
So I saw you in April, and you told me that the concept was just like getting underway. But there are people who wait months and months.
Let's talk about financing and banking. When you walk in and you say, hey, we're both CIA trained, but we've never run a restaurant before, do they go, oh, that's nice? Or do they go, listen, this is a happening town for restaurants, we're going to help you out?
We're an anomaly because we're really lucky that we've partnered with a restaurant that's already established in the neighborhood, and the owners of which happen to be our neighbors. So we've formed a company called Good Neighbors, and we're together, and they're helping us along every step of the way.
That's great.
That's really great. How hard was it with permitting? Was that an issue?
No. There was issues with the just getting the liquor license changed over to the new address, but we'd already purchased the liquor license for that space that we were renting.
For the other space, so you were ahead of the game.
No worries there. The biggest thing was just being the jack of all trades and painting the walls.
Yeah, we were very hands-on. So
that's not the horror story I expected to hear. And Jeff, for you,
yes, sir,
having done it once before, is the county, etc. Are all those permitting entities, are they a lot more likely to just kind of roll with it?
No, there's going to be hurdles no matter what, and it's just between the construction company you choose and you can anticipate more of them. Things are still going to pop up, but hopefully you've anticipated more of them and you can get a pretty good guess. Did you
think the turnaround time of Freddy's Lobster, were you on schedule with it?
I had about 50% time overrun just based on things that popped up that sane minds might not have let go through, but the government people don't necessarily be sane.
Right. Well, listen, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to ask you guys a couple of questions, because Lindsay, you're in the front of the house, and I want to talk about how that feels for you, since you are a chef as well. And we want to talk a little bit more about what you guys brought in, and then we're going to have another Ricky, which I'm excited. This is David and Nikki Nellis from Foodie and the Beast. We'll be back in just a sec.
Planet Wine in Del Rey is more than just 700 great wines. There's also a stellar selection of craft beers picked by Greg Engert, one of Food & Wine's favorite beer experts, and artisan charcuterie from Red Apron. For fine wines, beers, and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. Hi, everybody. We're back on Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis. We are
eating lobster
everything from
chowder.
lobster rolls to fried chicken. Very
pizza.
quickly, before we get back to the show, I just want to give a quick shout out to the folks that make the show possible. Our friends at Georgetown Bagelry, our buddies at the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, particularly at Planet Wine, which is a fabulous little gem of a wine store over in Del Rey in the Old Town area. Folks at Founding Farmers down on Pennsylvania Avenue, and Farmers and Fishers in the Georgetown Harbor. Dish, Nota Bianchi and Circle Bistro. Charles Schwartz & Son Fine Jewelers. We got a jeweler for responsa. How about that?
Fortunately, it's not a trade. As you can see, I'm not bedecked and bejeweled.
No. Well, I traded. And Bethesda Central Farm Market, our folks out there, Mitch Berliner, Ann Brody. Thank you all for
Great. If
supporting
you,
the show.
after the show, absolutely head on out there. We saw it earlier this morning, and it was packed. There's so many good and fresh things that they have at that market.
A very cool new vendor out there. They import their chocolate beans or the cocoa beans, and then they process them in a local factory here, and they've got unbelievable chocolates. So you got to try that.
All right, we'll check that out next time. All right, Lindsay and Nate, we want to get back to you guys. So we were talking off air about your wine program. Let's hear a little bit about it. And who put it together? Was it a combo? Lindsay.
I'm definitely taking full credit for
let's hear it.
everyone. So many nights studying for a WSET and Master Somm program. I'm taking credit for the wine.
As well, you should.
Yes.
I accompanied her on trips around the country tasting.
He drank and I drove. So
Sounds like a fun trip.
Sounds like our relationship.
But all American, nothing, all the way down to the vermouth, spirit, vermouth, wine, dessert wine, tonic water, everything, sparkling water, domestic.
Why?
Only because we felt with an American restaurant that people talk about eating local and keeping things together. And when you go to Burgundy, you don't really find tons of big Bordeaux's hanging out. Everybody's kind of drinking Burgundy. So I think America wine and spirits are phenomenal, and we wanted to support them and keep everything domestic on the same page.
We're going to get back to Derek here in a second. I want to make sure everybody knows where Salt and Pepper is and how to find you online.
Sure, it's at 5125 MacArthur Boulevard in the Palisades, and online we're www.saltandpepperdc.com.
Okay,
Cool.
well,
All
thank
right.
you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Derek Brown.
I have a new drink. I
And
like
it's the
the
gin
Ricky. I really like it. It doesn't taste like there's anything in it, though. Is this weak?
It's a pretty light drink overall. I mean, this is like a porch sipper. This is something that you drink during hot weather. It's something that you drink on an afternoon, Sunday afternoon, for instance, today.
Or Sunday morning.
And so, in that sense, I think, it's a very refreshing drink. Now, December 5th, would you drink this? I think no. So that's the key to the Ricky, that it really is a seasonal drink.
All right, tell us about
The proclamation.
and all of that.
Sure. So our idea was basically we fell so in love with this drink. It's a great drink. It has a great history. It really sort of illuminates DC's past and its present. I mean,
Drink
really,
enough of it, it'll illuminate me.
Exactly. I mean, it really is. It was a great time for drinks before Prohibition, right? I mean, sometimes people refer to that as the golden age of cocktails because that's when the martini, the Manhattan, the Ricky, all these great drinks were invented. But today, one bartender calls it the platinum age of cocktails. The fact is, we're even better because we have the reference to those great cocktail books and the bartenders' recipes, and you have a great bartenders today who are making those drinks and improving upon them in some ways.
All right, well, Derek, thank you. First of all, I want to jump in and say...
I like the bourbon one,
So this is the bourbon version, yeah. Do you like that one as well?
I do.
This is what Colonel Joe Ricky drank, and he called it his morning's morning. He had it every morning at 10 a.m.
And then he slept until 3. All right. Well, let's thank our guests, Derek Brown, Jeff Heineman, Nate and Lindsay Achter, Stephanie O'Mary, and Pierluigi Capello from Fiorella out at National Harbor.
Now, we have a great show next week, but we are running out of time, so everybody have a delicious week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.